So, hey guys, Chauzu here. So, time to go into a deep dive into 6 Plus Gear 5, and honestly, there's so much to talk about here that I can only scratch my head like where to even begin. There's so much to cover, so we'll see how much I remember to cover even. But yeah, there are so many points of entry, so to say, things to discuss, but let's just start with a normal recap. But one thing I want to do is to basically break this down into two parts. First, discuss the more normal usage using 6 Plus Gear 5 Luffy as a more of a Free Spirit fighter captain, and then after that discuss all of the bonus stuff he gets if you build an all-color team, which is a fundamentally different way of building a team, but not required. So both of these are pretty interesting in their own right. But yeah, the Byron Gun Luffy, he's still a Free Spirit fighter. His rush is unchanged. Sadly, I really hope they change it, but as I can see, it's literally the same. Maybe something small difference I haven't noticed, but the main gist is the same. But other than that, there's not much that is the same here. EX Super has even changed. I really like what they did there with the color. But yeah, we can actually start with the EX Super since we're here. Why not? Same conditions as before, need 3 specific characters. And you haven't used the EX Super, you apply increased damage taken to all enemies 2 times for 1 turn. Does not go through full immunity. I honestly think this is one of the maybe biggest weaknesses of this unit. Would have been a great bonus if it did that. Changes crew slots, including block and super block, to character's own type. So Luffy here doesn't change orbs with his special, he does it with the super instead, and can even change block orbs, super block, which is unique so far. The only other option we have to remove super block right now is Nami Robin swap, so it's nice to have more options. He also locks the orbs for 1 turn, and every type becomes super type. So yeah, that's pretty ridiculous, and it fits an all-color captain for sure. As for the normal captain ability, he's finally a speedrun captain now, -2. And it's worth noting that they do want you to use the 2 Gear 5 together. So -2 then basically becomes -1 because the normal Gear 5 has no CD reduction, but Gear 5 has -2. So what I would have liked is that they added that if you use the other Gear 5 as captain, the unevolved form, then you get an extra -2 CD reduction to captains. That would have been really cool. It's a shame they didn't do that. I think it would have made a lot of sense, because now -1 CD effectively doesn't make a big difference for 15 CD captains after a key. Up to 6 times attack with matching orbs, and it's for everybody, a true rainbow captain, unlike Gear 5 who's limited to Psy and Free Spirit. And even without matching, you have 5.5 times attack, 1.35 times HP, he completely resists the spear, and he makes Strength, Dex, Quick Psy, Int, Recovery and Tandem matching, but only for himself, so not for the crew. This means that he doesn't make any orbs beneficial for the crew. So that could be an issue in trying to get matching orbs for them, but obviously he can give that with his super, so that's a very good option. So that's the things that works for every team. But of course then we have the added note that if every type is on the team, Luffy's own attacks are super effective to all types. And he also has the Luffy crew ability of making all specials affect all types and classes. So if you have a driven attack boost, it becomes an attack boost for the whole team, for example. And yeah, that's mainly a nice bonus. But the problem is that a lot of those kind of special also have like restrictions on the captain. So captain has to be driven cerebral, for example, and that doesn't change that. So for example, if you run ulti on page 1 to try and get a conditional with 6+ gear 5 Luffy and use the special, you won't get the buff. Like if you got a buff, it will have turned into a buff for the whole team, but that buff is conditioned on the captain being certain classes. So it's pretty good, but it does have some weaknesses. And moving on to the special, as said, this Luffy is built to work with the other gear 5. So the other gear 5 does ore boost and color affinity, and this gear 5 does a big attack boost instead. He also does 300 times attack in non-type damage to all enemies. So this Luffy does not go through normal attacks only, like the 6-star version. He also changes the multiplier of strength, dex, quick sight, int recovery to 2.75 times when slots match. And I'd say that this is probably the strongest part of this unit, like changing basically every orb to be stronger than Wano orbs is incredibly busted. And it even includes tandems. You don't even have issues with trying to get super tandem, which is a big issue with the 6-star version of Luffy. So very big fan of that. That will be incredibly strong. He also does a 3 times attack boost and buffs ore boost by plus 0.25. But if you already have an attack boost, he instead gives a 3 times ore boost and buff attack boost by plus 0.25. So yeah, some small bonuses there, and you are for sure to get an attack or ore boost. And this also means that you can actually use double gear 5 captain, since you can get a big attack and ore boost, which is pretty cool. So you're not forced to use like 2 different gear 5 as captains, even if it will be good in many situations. And obviously the 6-star gear 5 also gives a big color affinity on top of that ore boost. So yeah, I think we should start talking about like using gear 5 like a replacement for Roger, basically, because the units have a lot of similarities. Roger is Psi Free Spirit, gear 6+ gear 5 as well. Roger resists the Spearing Captain, so does 6+ gear 5. Gear 5 has a big attack boosting captain, so does Roger. So then we have to question like, what are the differences then? Well, first off, higher attack boost for 6+ gear 5, 6 times attack, incredibly busted. Also the ability of having an EX super. Roger also has a super that changes block orbs, but of course gear 5 changes more than that, and also makes all colors get super type. And the possibility of getting increased damage taken. Roger is just see the reduction, change all orbs, including block, and lock them. So even the EX supers are a bit similar. But then we have the specials. So with Roger, you can also get an attack boost. You can also extend ore boost, which gear 5 can't, but obviously have the option of getting an ore boost with gear 5 if you run 2 of them. And Roger can also give color affinity boost if you already have an attack boost. That's a bit similar to gear 5, even if Roger does it for 3 turns, but Roger's color affinity is also class based. And I'd say the main difference here is the fact that 6+ gear 5 also has the ability to change multipliers of orbs, like changing the multiplier of every orb to 2.75 times instead of 2 times is an incredibly boon. Like that together with a high captain ability and a better EX super, like even if you just leave Luffy as a unit that you don't want to use all colors and such, he's still a better 6+ Roger. So that alone is very interesting, of course. And I do feel bad about him when you think about it like that, because otherwise it's easy to compare 6+ gear 5 with 6-star gear 5. And I think most people agree that on paper 6-star is still better, mostly because it's ridiculous how much you get from one unit. While 6+ gear 5 is a bit more normal, but still incredibly strong. Then if we talk a bit more about having all colors on the team, I think it's very interesting, will probably be fun, but I don't think it will be very viable. Like, I've been thinking about, like, for Super Boss, can you make it work for that? And on paper, yes, but it's such an incredible restriction because, like, we also have the EX Super you probably want, but we're going into, like, how you could build for all characters. But one thing I will say though is that you get a good reward for having all characters, and that's very cool. And you also can use stuff like the Germa ship, which is very strong with the ship buffs. But you get some nice bonuses, and yeah, I look forward to trying it at least. I'm just skeptical if we'll see it as being a good option against Super Boss, but will be fun to try against other content, for sure. And yeah, with that, I think we take a step back and look at some combinations we can use with 6+ Gear 5 Luffy. I think we start here. First, we have some Psy units to use, and we've already talked a lot about 6-star Gear 5, but they are the perfect combo, of course. You're able to get attack boost, ore boost, color affinity. 6+ Gear 5 resists the spear. 6-star Gear 5 resists bind. He resists special reverse. He lets you ignore barriers, damage threshold, percent damage reduction, and damage immunity. And he also has the ability to recover from game over. And this is what I talked about with 6-star being ridiculous. Like, you heard all the things I listed, right? Like, that's not normal. That's super unique for the 6-star. So even if the 6+ is strong, like, you really want a unit with all the utility that the 6-star version has as well. And then, of course, with special, like 3 times attack from the 6+, you can get a 3 times orb color affinity boost from the 6-star. Well, Psy Free Spirit as well, that is 2.75 times. And you can also get a 3.25 times ore boost here. And depending on the special use, 6+ can buff it further. But in most cases, you will want to use the 6+ special first, just because you want the orb multiplier to be all orbs, not just Psy, because a Gear 5, 6-star Gear 5 only makes Psy orbs have a higher multiplier. So yeah, very incredible pair. I will honestly Limit Break expand the 6+ as well, so I will keep 2 Limit Break expanded versions around. I've not done that before, but they are basically 2 different legends, so I feel it's okay. As for some other options, I picked one on Stride in Ace. I still think Ace is very good. Great super tandem, and you can use it with Luffy. So the cool thing here is that, like, if we use the 2 different Gear 5, we have 2 Luffy. So you can use 1 Luffy as part of the super tandem chain with Ace. Just tap with 2 units, and then you can rush with the other unit. But the issue, of course, with that is that then the other 3 units has to fulfill the EX super condition, since, funnily enough, Ace isn't included in that condition when he usually is. And he also helps you get tandem orbs. You can use, like, 6+ special first. You get all orbs higher multiplier. Then you use the 6-star Gear 5. Get the orb boost color affinity. Change all orbs to Psy. And then you can use Ace, and he changes top and bottom row to tandem. And tandem will have a higher multiplier thanks to the 6+ special. And on top of that, you get a lot of chain buffs. Obviously, optimally you use Ace a turn early, but it depends, of course. Do you have other ways of getting tandem orb? Depends on the team. Anyway, for the rest, we'll cover some Straw Hats. We do have Nami And you know what Nami does. The main issue with Nami, of course, is that she really wants to be captain to be good. So you'd have to drop one of the gear 5 to do that. And who you drop, it depends on what utility you need, basically. In general, you drop the 6 stars. You drop the 6+ because the 6-star doesn't really function as well, since he has to use the EX Super to get into gear 5 form or die, and both of those require them to be captain. So you basically have the 6-star as friend captain, Nami as captain, and the 6+ as a sub. And you'll be able to get a good conditional and a chain boost and base attack boost. Yeah, just Nami stuff. Can also go the Usopp and Yasop route. You know what they do, delay through full immunity. If you want even more, you can add Robin too, of course. And then we have Jinbei, who is also a captain option in case you want the fighter superclass. And other than that, you're able to get a good chain boundary as well, and it does fulfill the EX super condition too. So that's some pretty decent options if you want to go a more Psy focused route. But of course you can go an all color route, and I just tried and see like what could you do if you went all colors with both of the gear 5 Luffy, and I settled on this. So basically first we have Robin, who is the first one you put in if you're thinking like super boss, just so you can get that conditional boost and also allow another conditional, which in this case is Akainu. And I was looking a long time for what other conditional to put, but Akainu does go through full immunity and applies burn and gives a burn conditional, so he works well. We also have the versus Yamato, who will be the tandem on the team. Not the best tandem, but it was very hard to fit a tandem, to be honest. Most of the good tandem for Luffy is either himself in the Dex Luffy, which we can't use, or the Quick Zoro, which we can't use because Robin, or the Psy Nami, which we can't use because we already have 2 Psy units. So Dex Yamato it is, but that also meant we couldn't use like Ace and Yamato for the burn conditional, which is why we have Akainu. But it's not all bad, because we can also get some tandem orbs from Yamato, and we can also get the damage reduction attack boost, which is a unique buff that we want anyway optimally. We also have something to give a bit of chain in Nami Carrot. If you're able to heal a bit, you can even get a chain multiplier boost, but mainly it will be the chain boundary you get there. And then you can use some supports to try and get some extra chain, like the new Momo support, for example, can be put on Luffy to good effect. But yeah, the problem here, of course, is that they're so hard to make replacements. If you need some utility, then the whole team just falls apart. But it will be fun to try. I thought one of the super bosses was made for this, because in the upcoming super boss Kizuna we have one boss who changes color mid-fight. So that makes sense to me. Okay, that sounds like they want you to use a lot of colors, maybe for 6+ gear 5. But that battle does 99 turn special bind to Robin. Now you can't use Robin, and as I discussed, now basically the whole teams fall apart. So don't know what to use there. I haven't really thought a lot about Kizuna yet. Finally, let's talk a bit about PvP. First, let's just recap what the 6-star Gear 5 Luffy does, because they are different here as well. In normal PvP, Luffy is Psy-focused, and he revives with half HP. And his special is also Psy-focused. And in the Grand Party, his leader skill is focusing on Psy Strength Dex, and his burst needs you to do 60k damage, and you can see the numbers there, 2.4 times damage for example. So, and it's Strength Dex Psy. So let's take a look at the 6+. And from what I've seen, the consensus among PvP nerds, so to say, is that the 6+ is superior, and I guess I agree. Not much to talk about there. So if we see here, now Luffy is Free Spirit instead of Psy. And when he revives to full HP, so that's pretty good. I wonder how this affects the Free Spirit team though, because we do have Luffy Yamato. Like, is this better than Luffy Yamato? I'm honestly not sure. We'll need to try. As for the normal special, it's also Free Spirit now. Otherwise, it does basically the same. Maybe the fixed damage is a bit higher. I forgot to check. But yeah, I'd say that in general, it's not the best in normal PvP. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll see if this takes off instead of Luffy Yamato. But Luffy Yamato is such a strong unit too, so it's hard to say. As for the leader, now it's also been changed to Free Spirit and Strength Dex instead of Psy Strength Dex. You can do less damage now, and that annoys me because already before I feel like Luffy's ready too soon. Now he's ready even sooner. And the numbers are higher, 2.65 attack instead of 2.4. I feel like he already one-hit KOs the entire team at level 150, so it's even worse now. So yeah, a good buff. And now all of a sudden there's a lot of music outside, so I think this is a good way to end the video. One last thing I will say that many will probably ask is that what do you do if you only have one Luffy? That's the question, isn't it? And I honestly don't have a good answer. Like, long term, we'll be able to buy Gear 5 skulls, so you'll be able to swap between them. But this is at least a one month out, maybe 2, maybe 3. So for now, I'd say keep it 6-star. If you need a 6+ for something, really need it, you can evolve. And if you really need the 6-star again, you can de-evolve. And then you just have to wait for skulls. Like, pulling can be an option, but like, we don't have any good parts left to pull. The only part left is the part 1. And if you've done further multis, like, it's not worth pulling anymore. So yeah, pull on part 1 on your own risk. Luffy is definitely pullable here, but it's half rate. And as we saw in the notice today, Gear 5 Luffy, the 6+ will not be available on any new parts. So that old part 1 is the only way to get a dupe. Otherwise, you have to survive to New Year, but I think that's pretty reasonable. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.